About to David Brommer. It's nice to see your face.
Same here, Steve. Good to see you.
I'm very excited because these two faces are getting together with Hugo Che to visit one of my favorite cities to photograph in, and that is Milan, Italy. And David, I know your experience with Milan goes far deeper than mine, and I know you're very excited to visit in the context of this workshop.
Absolutely. This is a kind of a big deal for me. I married a Milanese that I actually met in the B&H Superstore in 1997. And I've spent many, many months and uh, I spent a lot of time in Milan and in Italy, studied the language. And I think it was 2002, I got to be a Milanese for 3 months studying Italian language at Lingua Due, and it was great. I took the subway to get to the school, and I really lived like a Milanese, which was an honor to live like a Milanese. See, I know the town pretty good. We spent a lot of time in Tuscany. That's our main focus. But like I said, I spent Easters, Christmases, some summers, fall. Milan is a really cool town.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I mean, the beauty of Milan is, I mean, it's so multifaceted. You know, it's got all the history and tradition of Italy, the food, all that stuff. And then there's, the urban aspect, the fashion, the design. And, one of the things I love from a photographic perspective, I know you're going to speak to this, you're going to do a short presentation, is the, ability to sort of travel through with your camera and I find that I've photographed around the world. The people there are very friendly as long as you sort of smile at them. Sometimes point to the camera if you want to sort of photograph in their direction. And it's been sort of a pure joy to be able to photograph there. The other thing too is where we're going to be staying, David. Is in a beautiful area at a beautiful hotel. I mean, all the details. When I think of Milan, I mean, the hotel is an art hotel. Our meeting room is a Japanese designed shop slash WeWork space slash restaurant, which is a short walking distance from our hotel. And just being there, it just immediately sort of lowers my blood pressure and gets me excited to get out there shooting.
Think it's also so Milanese that you say a Japanese design store where that's Milan, because Milan is truly an international city. It's one of the great capital cities of the world, but with a lot of flavor.
Absolutely. So, David, if you don't mind, I know you had a really short presentation that will sort of describe a little bit of your perspective when it comes both from a photographic point of view and also, with your depth of knowledge of Milan itself and the many times and experiences that you've had there.
Well, Steve, I want to say thank you for inviting me along to teach on this workshop. I'm really looking forward to it, as I said, and I do have a quick little presentation just to kind of get people excited for what to expect and some good practical information because we will be outside of the United States in another country, and it has its own rules and things to know about that'll help you guide along. So let's start this presentation up. This is going to be the Milan. It's an urban and street photography workshop. The master street photographer and passionate photographer, Steve Simon, will be the leader. And then helping him out along this will be Ugo Che. And Ugo Che is a travel photographer, and he's a natural Italian. So he's going to be incredibly helpful on this trip in terms of a great photographer and really knowing the lay of the land, and also speaks fluent Italian, which I can't say that I speak fluent Italian. I can speak passable Italian, but Ugo is going to be a great help. And then my contribution to this is going to be two things that I'm going to specialize in. Photographic style are my main contributions for. So if anyone needs help with making their settings or adjusting on their camera or figuring out those little annoying things that can happen on a camera, I'm pretty darn good with that. Composition and style is my main contribution to photography and how I'll be able to help out on this workshop and make sure that everyone who comes definitely goes away with an amazing body of work, which you will do that. So just a little bit about the Milan attitude. Milan is sharp and they are serious. They're the hardest working people in all of Italy. In saying that they're sharp and serious, you're going to see more men in suits than you've ever seen before. It's almost like watching an episode of Mad Men. The guys dress up really well and the women dress up really well. And something that like they don't do in America, frequently you'll see business women who commute will put on sneakers for the commute and then high heels when they're working. The Milanese women are in high heels all day long, and the men are in ties and suits. So you'll kind of notice that quite a bit. Uh, it is the fashion and business capital. If you were in living in Rome or in southern Italy and you need a hospital and you want to get cured, you go up to Milan. Pretty much Milan has the best of all of Italy right in there. Now, Italian is, of course, the language that's spoken in Italy. However, in Milan, you'll definitely notice there is a lot of English being spoken. So don't be too intimidated by not being able to speak Italian. There's a lot of English being spoken there, particularly with the younger crowd. The older, if you run into older Milanese, they may not be speaking English as well, but certainly the younger professionals, they all have a pretty decent command of English. Something that is very unique and cultural to Milan is aperitivo time. And aperitivo is essentially sort of a happy hour. And the fun part about aperitivo is it's a great place to sit around, talk, and meet people. And also they lay out a spread of food during the aperitivo. And I'll tell you, when I lived there frequently, you could actually have a dinner during the aperitivo time. They're going to lay out salamis and bruschetta and all sorts of little finger foods, pretty good, and maybe little plates of pasta. So, also Milan is very approachable. People are very friendly. You said that before, Steve. Milan is certainly a friendly city, and it's very approachable and easy to work with there. They're trendy and they're friendly, which can you get any better than trendy and friendly? Architecture and design is another hallmark of the city. And you'll notice something interesting. You'll see 17th century, 18th century, beautiful buildings, beautiful palazzos. And then right next to it, you'll see a very modern building. Usually in that case, that meant that the building that was next to that very vintage old architecture was probably bombed during World War II. Unfortunately, Milan is unique in that it got bombed by America, England, and Germany. So it had a tough time during World War II. So when you see some of the new architecture, it's definitely a little bit of it's probably been a building that's been rebuilt because they would never touch their old buildings. They love keeping their facades and keeping the original preservation of the original buildings. But if it got blown up in World War II, a new building went up. So you'll see some interesting looking new buildings that kind of lend themselves to the Italian past. And you'll also see a fair amount of brutalism as well in the new construction that goes on. I just also want to throw out a little thing, the pickpockets and scams. There are a fair amount of gypsies in Milan. Pickpocketing is have your radar up. I'm not saying that you should be in fear, but you should do the protocol. And I do this here in New York City when I'm in Washington Square Park or in Times Square. The wallets go in the front pocket. Camera bags are sealed and pulled down. And I don't believe that you're going to have to worry about muggings. It's not a violent town in that sense, and there's a decent amount of polizia that are around. Milan is a safe city. But the pickpocket thing, be very careful of that, especially if we travel in the subways at all. But
David, one of the things that I'll be there to do is because, as you mentioned, our aperitivo time is so much fun and so enjoyable. I'll make sure that our ratio of shooting to aperitivo time is good, and we don't get carried away with the aperitivo time.
yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. But that is very Milanese. That is there's a couple of locations I'd like to bring us to, especially in some of the more trendy districts, the Brea. Okay, so I put together just a quick list of Italian for Americans, and this is just how to be polite speaking Italian. So thank you, grazie. We all know that one. We've heard that many times. So thank you is grazie. You're welcome is prego. The easy way to remember this for Americans, what is the bottled sauce that we all grew up with? Was prego sauce. So prego is you're welcome. And then ciao is hello, and it could be goodbye. So I've always loved this one. You can kind of say ciao when ciao, Steve. and that's our hello. And then when you're saying goodbye, you also could say ciao. And if you want to say it like a cute Italian girl, they go ciao ciao. So that's hello and goodbye. Arrivederci, that is the formal way of saying goodbye. And sort of the translation is really see you soon. Hope to see you again is what arrivederci means. For the mornings up until noon, you're saying buongiorno. That's good morning. Afternoon, you could say buon pomeriggio. In the afternoons, it's buonasera. And then at night, when you want to say good night, I'm like basically good night. I'm going up to my room, going to bed. Buonanotte. Notte is night. Uh, please, which is a big one. Per favore. And I I think that you can go so far by saying please. It is the magic word. The magica parole is, of course, per favore. Now this is very important. I'm in my mid-50s. So bagno, that is the bathroom. The bathroom is bagno, very key word. If you're in a restaurant, you're looking for a bathroom. Dove is where, so you could say dove è bagno. Where is the bathroom? I think that may be the most important phrase to know in Italian. Another big one is scusa. Scusa is excuse me. So pardon, excuse. You could say pardon, they'll know that. But scusa is the way if someone you need someone's in your way, they need to get out of your way a little bit. You could say scusa. And if you want to be very polite, you can mix that please. So scusa mi per favore. That would be please excuse me. Now, this is a big one. I'm not big on taking photos of people stealthily. I kind of like to make a connection. That's my style, make a connection with someone when I photograph them. So posso is may I. So posso fare la tua foto. Photo is photograph. So posso fare, it's please can I make a photograph of you? And then usually I can hold up the camera, point at it, and you'll generally get a good response from most Italians, especially if you wrap that up with a smile, which we'll talk about in a second. If you want to speak English, you need some instructions, maybe you're lost, you need something, you can always ask parla inglese, and that's you speak English. That's a nice way of saying it, as opposed to walking up to someone saying, do you speak English? Obviously, if they speak English, they're going to understand you, but you're in Italy, so let's try a little bit of Italian. It's a beautiful language. Now, these are, if you're really into linguists, sono is I am, and then the cornerstone of all language, to have and to be, essere to be, and to have avere. And you can work on the verbs from that. Very complicated. I tell you, I got a little problems with the verbs, and also Italians. It is a Romance language. They use the article is gender specific. So I find it very difficult because if you're going to say like uh, the car, we don't have gender in English. So all we have to know is the signifier, the, and then the car. But in Italian, you would say la macchina because a car is feminine. So the A is on the end of the word and it's a la. So you have to kind of think there isn't just the. The can be il, lo, la. It's very complicated. So um, I'm bad on the verbs, but my vocabulary is pretty decent. So I think that's a big help. But you can play around with that. And also, I'd highly recommend now on your phone, download Google Translate. It's so easy on the phone. You can just hit the button and say, where is the car dealership? And then it will come back. It'll write it right up for you. It works so good. It's like the universal translator from Star Trek. Okay, the big universal translation is the smile. You will go very far with a smile in the world, and in particular Italy, because people are very nice in Italy. So if you're asking a question, try to put a smile on that. You'll go really far with a good smile. I find that's like the number one piece of equipment besides your camera will be your smile. That's going to help you out tremendously. The other thing that's going to help you out quite a bit is that my contribution to this, in addition to camera whispering and helping out with composition, is I've devised 6 points to photographic style. It's sort of my messaging and what my gift is to photography. And what that is that I've broken down photographic style into 6 points. And the beauty of this is that you look at a photograph without having a name associated with it, and you can recognize the photographer via the style that the photograph is in. That is a great aspiration that all of us should have. So I'm going to go into very detail the 6 points of this, and we're going to work this out. Just to go quickly, your attitude, your emotions, your upbringing play a huge role in your photographic style. The genre and subject for what we're going to be doing is street and urban photography. Pretty easy. That's what our genre is going to be on this mission, this workshop. Your shooting technique is the focal length, your exposure choices, your angle that you shoot in, the camera equipment that you choose to use. These are all in shooting technique. Absolutely, Steve has a lot to say about that. He's a master shooter. So we're going to be going over the shooting techniques so you can master your equipment and get stylized photos quite easily. And then we're going to think about this one, the message. What are you trying to say? Overall, by our genre and subject being street and urban, our message is really imbuing a sense of place in our images. But it can go a little bit further than that. Maybe you want to show irony. Maybe you want to show humor. There's a lot that has to do with messaging. We'll talk quite a bit about that. And then treatment is your post-processing. We spend a long day shooting. You download your pictures. What do you do from it from there? Do you boost the colors? Do you boost the saturation? Do you convert to black and white? Treatment is a very important part of photographic style. And then the last part is something that we'll talk about at the workshop, but you're really going to do post-workshop, and that's the presentation. Think about what you want to do with the work that you create on this workshop. Do you want to put it into a book? Are you going to share it on social media? Are you going to build a web page? Are you going to make prints? All of that has to have a consistent style that runs through it. So we'll talk in detail about your presentation. Just to show you a couple of different ways that I've shot Milan over the years. This was a project I did called Italy Looking Up. And for 2 months, I only photographed aiming the camera up. I took no pictures straight on. This was a very bold decision to make. And I shot with a lot of conviction and made sure that all the shots were really the ones going up. A couple of years later, I went back and I turned my camera into the black and white mode, and then I chose this square format, which goes against everything but tenets to photography because this allowed very little work to be done in post because you're doing a lot of your work up front in the camera. So this was like shooting with a Hasselblad, and this is a typical example of a great Milanese. Milan has a lot of scooters in Milan. He's riding a Vespa. He's even got the original the Roman holiday T-shirt on. Milanese are very proud of Italy and their town, and they like to show that off. And I also want to say, like, Steve, look at the guy's smile. Isn't that isn't that Italy? Like, so, and he even matches the smile in the T-shirt. Now, this guy didn't know I was photographing him. They were just zooming down. But again, it's square. It shows you that architecture. That's some 18th century beautiful architecture in the background. This is the Centro, and you'll see a lot of biking, there's a lot of movement in Milan. Milan is about movimento. It's about movement. This is again looking up. This is the Galleria that's right in the Centro. Across the street from this is the Duomo, and it's a stunning place to photograph. And no matter how many times I go back, when I walk through the Galleria, I always aim my camera up because the weather can be different. If you're shooting color and it's a very bright blue day, you're going to get this great blue sheen to the over the translucent ceiling. So it's pretty damn cool. You guys are going to have a great time with us in Milan. Really looking forward to it. So I just want to say ciao. See you in Milan soon. And there you go. That's my short little presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to be spending some great time together doing some amazing work. I'm really looking forward to it.
David, I'm so excited, even more so than ever. I can't wait to get back to Milan, to get back to Milan specifically with you and Hugo. I know it's going to be a great time. Yeah, I'm just hoping that people sign up soon enough. We only have a limited number of spots, and we're only going, this once this year. So, people can do that. The sooner, the better to secure your spot. And let's just leave it at that. And we'll have a lot more to say and a lot more to photograph and a lot more to eat as soon as we touch down in the beautiful and amazing city of Milan.
I'm looking forward to it, Steve, especially teaching beside you and Hugo. It's going to be an amazing trip. And I just want to add one thing to what you said about there's 10 participants on this workshop. That's what you're limiting it to. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe we limited it to eight. I found in doing my workshops over time that there's kind of a magic number, and eight is great because we have this diverse visual sort of potpourri of different voices and different perspectives. And I know that, and that we, even though we're experienced in photography, we're always learning from everybody else. We go to the same places, we split up, we come back, and I'm often amazed at what people photograph that for whatever reason I didn't see, but I make a mental note and next time, I might add it to my repertoire.
What's really cool though, you going eight. I mean, you've got essentially three instructors at the participants' beck and call, which is that's a very nice average. I think we're going to be able to spread out really well, and it's a pretty low number for the workshop. So I'm looking forward to it. My former life working for B&H Photo, I'm kind of used to hundreds of people on photo walks. So this is going to be a pleasure to really give some time and work out with people. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Very excited. And so we'll see you guys in Italy.
Perfect. Ciao. Uh,
Ciao, everybody.
ciao. See everybody
Arrivederci.
soon.
Okay.